Hey everybody, this is Bradley Benner with Semantic Mastery and the crew, and we're here today for the RYS Academy, or the Trust Flow Manipulation webinar, and that's what you guys are here for. Sorry about being a couple minutes late. We had some technical difficulties with Webinar Jam. We don't typically use this. We usually just go straight to Google Hangouts, but this time we're using Webinar Jam, and it's a little tricky. So what's up, guys? I want to introduce everybody that's here. We got Adam, Hernan, and Marco right now. So what's up, Adam?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hernan, what's up, man?
Hey everybody, it's good to be here.
And Marco, how you doing, buddy?
Hey man, what's up? Hello everybody.
We're still waiting on one more person to join. Everybody, little housekeeping before we get started. Pay attention to this because this is something that nobody else is teaching on the web right now, and how to manipulate trust flow, and which is in our opinion the most important metric in SEO right now. Not only trust flow, but topical trust flow as well, and that's even more important than just trust flow. And so that's really what we're going to be teaching tonight, is how to manipulate that so that you can rank, and competitors will wonder what the hell you're doing. So,
yeah, if it were only that others don't know, it'd be cool, because they don't know. But the fact is that there's people out there that are selling shit that they know will not work, and they refuse to tell people what actually does work, and knowingly, which to me is totally unethical. Which is, I'm gonna give it to you in the raw. I'm gonna tell you how it is, how it came about, and how to go about maybe doing your own.
Yeah.
And so with that, let me
introduce Gary real quick before you get started. So, hey Gary, how you doing, man?
Hey, really well, thanks. Nice to be here.
Yeah. So last thing, like I said before I turn it over to you, Marco, is guys, just remember that pay attention. You're going to learn some stuff anyway, so I recommend that you stay to the end. But all right, with that said, Marco, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, buddy.
All right, let me go ahead and grab the screen and share it. Let me know when you can see it. And welcome to our Trust Flow webinar. The things that we're going to cover today are PageRank and TrustRank, domain authority and page authority, trust flow, citation flow, and then hopefully at the end we'll have some questions and answers. It seems like a really short list, but this is really important stuff, and there's a lot of things that we're going to cover. So let me get right to it. And let's start with just PageRank. PageRank is dead, right? Long live the king, as they say. No. Is it really dead? No, PageRank is not dead. And Google still uses it as a metric, but it's done internally. In fact, it updates daily. But the problem is that any updates to PageRank are now kept in-house. And since we cannot access Google internally, what's dead is the toolbar update and all of that PR that we used to see. We got so used to seeing PR 0, NA, all the way up to 9. But my thing is, how accurate was PageRank anyway, since we only got updates 2, maybe 3 times a year. Towards the end, it updated once in about 18 months. And so we know internally it was updated on a daily basis, but public updates were only taking place a few times a year. Now it's no longer updated to the public. But there was always an underlying factor that wasn't general knowledge, and you had to be really deep into this stuff and studying it to know what this underlying factor was. And the underlying factor is actually TrustRank. And what the TrustRank algorithm actually dates back to is the year 2004, a paper published by Zoltan, I don't know how to pronounce that last name, and Hector Garcia Molina from Stanford University, with a guy from Yahoo, Jan Peterson. And the intent of this study was to separate sites that they found were reputable and good, or pages, from those that were spammy. And so they did a whole algorithm regarding this, and they actually came up with a base. I can't remember if it was 400 websites, the exact amount, and I do have the websites to share later on if anyone's interested in reading this. To me, this is interesting stuff, because you have to understand the importance of TrustRank, because you only need to look at the patent that Google was granted in 2009 which dealt with search result ranking based on trust. I have the patent that I can show. In fact, if I exit full screen mode for a second and share, I mean it's right there. Search result ranking based on trust, and it's a whole patent and what they went after, what they're looking for. Go ahead and read through it. To me, it's totally interesting. And so what we have now is the underlying factor, right? Which this tells you is trust. And let me go back to two other metrics that are also involved, because there's a domain authority, page authority metric by Moz, right? On January 21st of 2000, I can't remember the exact date, 2008, somewhere around there. SEO Moz, which it was back then, announced that they were releasing a new domain authority, page authority metric. And these metrics were meant to be a prediction of how a website would perform in search engine rankings, right? And although these metrics were influenced by links, there was actually something else involved. And the something else is that there was an inherent problem with the Moz metrics, because they could positively or negatively influence, the factors, and the metrics could be influenced by on-page factors, by factors on the website. Now, how do we know this? We've seen plenty of high domain authority websites hit by Panda, right? We've seen them time after time, up to spam Chinese domains with domain authority, I don't know, 50, 60. And we go and buy these a dime a dozen because people say they're worthless, they're useless. If domain authority is such a good metric, why did these websites get hit by Panda? Well, all we need to do is look at what Moz has to say, and you can see why these high domain authority websites get hit by Panda. Because to improve domain authority, you also need to improve your overall SEO, and this includes all of the details that SEOs, that we who call ourselves SEOs, and even those who don't, we know, and we actually like doing this, which is site structure, navigability, breadcrumbs, URL structure, meta tags, header tags, word count, keywords, LSI, keyword density, co-occurrence, alt tags, you name it. You have to account for all this in order for domain authority to positively affect your website. If, as I've said before, and I don't mean to offend anyone, and if I do, I'm going to excuse myself right from the start. If your SEO sucks, if your on-page SEO isn't tight, if your silos aren't tight, if you haven't done everything according to what that bot is looking for, then what that domain authority is actually going to do, it's going to negatively affect your website, because you haven't taken care of all the things that you needed to take care of in order for the domain authority to have the effect that it should. Same thing with page authority, because domain authority is overall domain, and page authority is just each page on the website having its own metric. And in fact, you could have a page with a higher authority than the actual domain if you were doing this, and if you were grabbing the links, and if you were doing all your SEO. And these are things that people won't tell you. This is something they won't tell you, that that your SEO has to be really on spot, really tight, for domain authority to have the effect that it's supposed to go to. Now, we have a whole course on IFTTT, SEO, and how to silo, and how to do all of these things correctly. And in fact, if you go to our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/semantic mastery, and just look up our silo architecture videos, you can see that we've been doing this for a long time. Our videos date back, what, a couple of years now, Bradley?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, about that.
I can't remember exactly what that first video dates back to that we did with Quentin, but it does. It goes back pretty far.
At least a year and a half, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so this is the inherent problem. It could be good, or it could be bad. And if it was bad, and if your SEO sucks, it's a combination that was disastrous because you got de-indexed, right? You got a useless de-indexed domain that we went and that maybe you brought up 40, 50 domain authority, and now we can go and pick up for $5, $10. Thank you very much. So let's talk about another metric that's involved in this, which is trust flow and citation flow. And citation flow is merely the amount of links that a given URL has. Don't read anything else into this. There's nothing more or nothing less. That's exactly what it is, citation flow. Trust flow, on the other hand, according to Majestic, is a number that predicts how trustworthy a page is based on how trustworthy sites tend to link to trustworthy neighbors.
If I may jump in for a minute, just for clarification purposes.
Sure.
Citation flow, the easy way that I like to explain it to newbies is that citation flow is a measure of quantity, and trust flow is a measure of quality and relevancy. Does that make sense? So hopefully it's a very simple version of it. But
yeah, quality, but not necessarily relevancy, because you can have trust flow without the relevancy.
Right.
Well, that's true. That's where topical trust flow comes in. Correct.
And that's something that we're going to get into.
Yeah, and sorry, Marco, just to chime in also on this, that's why you can always relate, or what we have found is that you can relate DA, for example, to citation flow, but not to trust flow.
That's right.
Because they're both quantity metrics. That's what I mean.
Exactly, they're quantity metrics. Right. And since they measure the quantity rather than the quality, what you get is that you can get really spammy high DA. It doesn't mean that you're authoritative. It just means that you built up your domain authority with spam, and you're just a website waiting to get hit by and de-indexed by Google, right? You're just a penalty waiting to happen. That's all you've done. And this is something that people need to know. This is something that you need to be told before you start shelling out all of this money for all of this stuff that's out there. You need to know that there are certain things that you need to take care of, and if you don't, then it's useless. No matter how much you try, no matter how much you do, eventually you're going to get hit. So let's continue with these other metrics, because trust flow, again, according to Majestic, only flows through do-follow links, which is different from domain authority, because domain authority, we know that flows and stacks through do-follow and no-follow links. And actually, I hate these terms, no-follow, do-follow. A link is either no-follow or follow, right? If it's no-follow, that's just a Google invention, and this lets you know how important trust is. Again, we go back to that trust rank algorithm and to that trust rank patent, because it tells you right there, DA can pass, and the juice will pass through a no-follow link, which is a Google invention, right? But it has to be do-follow for trust to flow through. It can bleed, and we've seen it bleed. If you do things right, it will. Not as much, it won't pass as much. But the important thing here is trust flow stacks just like domain authority, but it only passes through follow links. If you have a no-follow attribute on the link, you can't pass trust flow. Well, not as much as you intend anyway. And as far as we're concerned at Semantic Mastery, and I know that Bradley and Hernan and Adam will agree with me on this, trust flow is the best predictor of how a website is going to rank, since it's a direct metric of trusted sites linking to a given URL.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's right. That's why if you're following the IFTTT training, for example, that's why you will notice a bump in trust flow, because you will get linked back from all of these nice properties with lots of trust flow. So I really like that.
I think that the interesting thing about what our IFTTT methodology is that we interlink our properties in a way that we mix no-follow and do-follow links.
Right.
Right. And these are all linked together. So at at any point in the chain, we're chasing do follow links anyway. And we started doing this even before we realized the power of all of the trust flow and the underlying factor, which we're going to get into, because trust flow has an underlying factor. First of all, it can be manipulated, and we've clearly shown this in, and let me exit the full screen mode. We've clearly shown this in our RYS Academy, and it's training that Dr. Gary Kerwin and I worked on for about, well, collectively for 18 months, but it's 12 months that I was working on this. Just so you know that we're not making this up. And how do we know that trust flow can be manipulated? Well, we've done it with a website, and these are the kind of numbers that we've gotten. We've done it.
Look at that.
Look at
One
that.
external backlink.
Look.
Oh, that's lovely. And do you have the dates, Marco? I don't know if you have them.
I do have the dates, but not available right here. It happened within 2 days.
Yeah, within 2 days. That was the craziest part. I think it started like on the first day, 24 hours, and because we checked, it could have started sooner, than that, but we checked at the 24-hour mark, and then it peaked at the 48-hour or something like that. So it was like really fun.
Well, we know the Majestic updates every day,
Right.
just like the PageRank internally updates every day. So I think that this emulates PageRank and TrustRank more closely than Domain Authority and Page Authority.
Yeah.
And since since they have that majestic million, these million websites as a base of what a trusted website should be to draw from, I mean, it's really easy for them to get into their database and to update these numbers on a daily basis, right? This is Twitter. This is a Twitter account, which went for, I think it was in 3 or 4 days. I had the Twitter account, and it was chugging along at over 30. Just before it got hit. You can actually get hit in Twitter, by the way, really bad. We figured that out, right?
Yeah. When you push the limits, you find out stuff.
Sorry, that wasn't it. Sorry, that wasn't it. Where am I? Patent. Oh, and I definitely recommend this Jacob Hagberg blog post. This guest blog post in Majestic is fabulous, guys. If you haven't seen it, please grab that link, go take a look, because he gives you a ton of information regarding trust flow, and he especially gets into topical trust flow, which I want to get into a little bit, because topical trust flow is how authoritative and trustworthy a domain or URL is within its given niche. And this is where the party begins, because what's being taken into account right now is not only whether the link comes from a trusted source, but I know Bradley has covered this before, and he shared this with people, and he has said that a link from a related source is much more valuable and much more powerful than a link maybe from a higher authority source in another niche. So,
yeah, let me jump in on that for a minute, because the idea is, guys, everybody knows from traditional SEO training, which there's a whole lot of on the web right now, still to this day, about building PBNs. And people say to go out and buy an expired domain that has high metrics, and then you strip you buy the domain, so you're installing a fresh site on it, typically WordPress, and then you install whatever content it is you want on it. And most PBNs they're not even themed; they're general type PBN, private blog network sites where they'll have, you know, an article about insurance with a link pointing to an insurance company site, and then they'll have an article about roofing point with a link pointing. The point is that those aren't themed sites. So although the metrics are there, if you look at them in Ahrefs or Majestic or Moz, and you look at the domain itself, you're going to see high DA or high PA, or you might see PageRank still if it's still showing PageRank, whatever. But the inbound links coming to that domain aren't necessarily. It depends on what that domain used to be, right? But most likely it had nothing to do with what the outbound links are, or people are outbound linking to multiple different topics, and they think, well, as long as the link itself that's pointing to my property is within an article that is about my topic, I'm good to go. But that's not the case. We have proven over and over again that if you have a highly themed property that's specific, or at least topically relevant, like all the content on the site itself, the metrics can be lower for that site, yet that link is so much more valuable. Hopefully that was a clear explanation of that.
Yes, it's absolutely clear. And if you look at what Jacob has to say, that as valuable as PageRank was in its day, it never gave people in our business a way to determine link relevance.
That's right.
And what's more important than link relevance right now? Go and get a link from a DA, I don't know, 90, or maybe a DA 60, 70 that's related to you. The 90 is not related to you, the 60 is. And that 60 will add much more power than that 90 ever could.
Yes.
Now, what Topical Trust Flow does now in Majestic is it allows us to take a quick look and sort links by relevance, right? Before we had to do this manually. We had to figure out, well, is this link worth everything that it could be to me? Well, we should know, because, I mean, we're working in a given niche. If you're working health and you go get a link from Bob Vila's blog, right? It's not, there's no relevance. It's not related. There's no relationship. There's no theme. So you're just adding a link just because. And if you add a whole bunch of these, no matter how trusted they are, eventually someone's going to tag you for link building, right? So you have to be really careful about how you build your links. You have to take a really good look at your link profile. That doesn't mean that you don't have any of these links, because then that would be totally unnatural. For all of your links to be from your niche and nothing else, for all of your links to be do follow, would be unnatural. There's tons of things that you still have to keep in mind, but the one thing that's really important, and the takeaway from Jacob's article, which is fabulous, is that Topical Trust Flow is and from a URL within the niche, when you get that link, you're powering it up, and the more that you can get that's relevant to you, which is what we do through IFTTT SEO, the better off that you're going to rank in the long run. And the thing about Trust Flow is that it's exponential, so that you will rank for keywords once the party starts. You'll rank for keywords exponentially, which means that traffic will be exponential. And if you start targeting like we teach, you go for that lower hanging fruit, right? The things that you can get to the quickest. You're going to rank for it much faster. And when you start ranking for these terms, all of those terms that are relevant to your niche are going to help push your website up for even more relevant keywords. The bot isn't stupid anymore. It's not just a stupid machine, right? There is some artificial intelligence built into this where it can figure out. And that's where we need to know how to guide this machine, this bot. It's a math problem, man. Right. That's what an algorithm is a recipe. Mm-hmm. But we need to know how to feed this, how to create this recipe the right way, so that we're placed in the right context. If that makes sense. I don't know if that's being as clear as possible. But we have to be in the right context.
Yeah, Marco, and just to add up what you're doing, what you're saying, I think that we used to. I mean, keywords are still important, and I hear what you say because you can rank when following good on site and trust flow stacking, and particularly topical trust flow. I've seen and good on site mostly, and this trust flow is really important because you can rank for keywords that you've never thought that it was possible, like combinations of keywords. Google will give you your place because you're becoming an authority in your niche. And I think that's really important because stack trust flow and have your own site right correctly, and you will rank for a lot of keywords that you didn't think it was even possible. You weren't even thinking about them. That's my point.
Yeah.
Okay, now, as fabulous as Jacob's article is, I'm going to have to disagree with it. Sorry, Jacob, we know you, we love you. But he says that topical trust flow isn't easily faked out. And I'm going to disagree.
It isn't easily faked out for most people, is what he meant to say.
Okay. So I'll agree and disagree because we fake it out.
Yeah.
Right.
We fake out we create topical trust flow. So maybe it's not. Yeah, it is a fake out because we can take topical trust flow on one end that's related to one niche, and run it, and then have it come out the other end to another niche, and now it's topical trust flow.
Yeah.
And Gary, if you want to expand on Twitter and how we do SEO and how we create trust flow in Twitter, I'd like you to jump in.
Okay, cool. Yeah, when it comes to Twitter, we're using in ROIS we're using the relationship that Twitter and Google have together now. So I'm guessing most people would have seen how tweets are now appearing live in Google search when they do a search in the SERPs, and that relationship that Google and Twitter have seems to just be getting stronger and stronger. And Google loves the data that's coming out of Twitter because it's live, and it's something it has access to, whereas it doesn't have access to Facebook data. And so what we're harnessing in ROIS is be able to funnel both of those properties. So we're funneling the power of Google, plus we're funneling the power of Twitter, and combining the two together. And so we've come up with recipes to be able to get trust flow happening and on autopilot. So, for example, as Marco showed, the majestic results with the trust flow. We've got majestic results for Twitter accounts that are brand spanking new. I think only not even 3 months old or 2 months old, and trust flow already, topical trust flow already in the late 20s, or even sometimes bounces up into the 40s, and that was all on autopilot without buying a single backlink of any sort. That just happened on autopilot. So yeah, you can harness trust flow within Twitter because you're also engaging with your community. So let's say, for example, we'll go with my favorite sort of industry, say online reputation management. So you're this person who loves doing online reputation management for clients, and now what would be the best thing you could do? Well, the best thing could be if you had other people in your industry who would engage with you and maybe backlink to you, or just that social engagement. So we know social engagement is a real important ranking factor. Now imagine you're getting experts and authors in online reputation management engaging with the links in your tweets, or retweeting you, or favoriting you, and you're controlling the links in those tweets. I mean, that's the ultimate for topical trust flow, because you're getting authors who have power in themselves, because Google does power up individual authors still, even though Google's author has been removed from the SERPs, they're still tracking that data in the background. And Twitter accounts are a prime example of that. So now imagine you're getting retweeted or your links getting pushed out to these relevant people, and you can create that on autopilot or with very little effort, and that's where you get some awesome changes with your trust flow. And then, as I said, you can niche it all the way down. So I can niche it to people who have a particular interest, just in, say, what I was saying with online reputation management. And that's the ultimate. And I can just get those people to engage with me and follow me and do stuff for me. And yeah, that's a part of the course, and we just love it. It's just there. It's out there. It's free, and it's there to be used and abused if you just know how to do it.
And the beauty of all this, the beauty of what we've managed to do with topical trust flow, topical trust flow, and you do have to keep an eye on citation flow, but not for reasons that are relevant, let's say, to ranking, but it could have a very negative effect. If it gets really high and your trust flow is really low, you're going to get hit by a penalty. It's just telling you you're spamming. The higher that your trust flow is, now here's the thing: the higher your trust flow is, the more spam you're going to withstand. Because, and let me just go back to my presentation. The thing that I want to make clear here is the ratio, your trust flow to citation flow. You have to keep a close monitor on it, especially if you're doing link building, right? And if you're spamming, and how many links you have coming to a website, because your ideal ratio should always be trust flow greater than citation flow, with your trust flow being at least 10. You should look for trust flow to be 10 or more. And remember that your trust flow stacks. So you could have multiple properties where you create this 10 plus trust flow, with the trust flow being greater than, or to make this a little bit clearer, staying under a 2-to-1 ratio, which means 1 trust flow for every 2 citation, or 2 citation flow for every point of trust flow. So if you have 40 trust flow, you could get away with 80 citation flow before you have to start worrying about anything, because you're still at 2-to-1. You try to keep it 2-to-1. If you get 3-to-1 or above, you're headed for a penalty 4, and you're almost 4-to-1. You're almost certain to get a penalty. But again, keep your eye on that ideal ratio, which is trust flow greater than citation flow.
Right. And to chime in on these, Marco, I think it's really interesting what you said, because the more trust flow that you get, the more spam you will withstand. So, and you remember, guys, that we said at the beginning of the webinar that citation flow was a quantity metric. So just start imagine how much you could, blast your properties. I'm not saying you do this unless you're completely sure, but if you grow your trust flow via, let's say, an IFTTT ring, or you're growing your social profiles via whatever you want to do, you can be a lot more aggressive with your link building. That's what I'm saying. Or you can get all of those tactics that a newer site or an affiliate site or a client site wouldn't withstand, just because you don't have enough trust flow.
Yeah.
Right. That is absolutely right. And it all has to do with that ratio and with getting links from trusted sources. The higher that your source, the higher the trust, right, the more that's going to be passed to you, which is why you need to go look for trusted sources to link to, and it has to be follow links. But this is the interesting part, because you can go right now and create a profile on a trusted source. I don't know, that gives you do follow links, WordPress, Blogger, Tumblr, right? You can get do follow links, but the profile that you're going to create will not have trust flow in the beginning. I think it starts at 1.1 and it can drop to 0.0. But I think it's the same with domain authority and page authority, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember, but I believe it's 1.1. The root domain could have 90 or nearly perfect 99 trust flow. But that doesn't mean that your profile on that domain is going to have that perfect trust flow, because there's nothing that's connecting you to that root domain. And that's the problem when you build these profiles. What you have to do is you have to push trust flow to these properties. And it's one of the things that we've learned to do through RYS Academy and through the properties that we manipulate in RYS Academy to create a series of links that build trust flow. I mean, it's not only manipulating these properties with to follow attributes. It's how you stack them and how we can send them to any other property that we want and create trust in those, and especially topical trust flow. If you theme everything correctly inside RYS Academy, inside what we teach, then of course what's going to receive it is also themed, and so now you have topical relevance, right?
That's right.
You have relevance from where it originates, and it's relevant to where it's going, and it's relevant to where it's connected. It's what IFTTT SEO is all about. What we found and what we figured out to do is how to push it, how to force it, how to take a trusted source and force that trusted source to give you backlinks.
I was going to answer a couple questions because I see a recurring question coming through. Mario, I thought we had already answered your question once, but we'll go ahead and answer it again here so that everybody can benefit. Yes, there is a case study in RYS that shows step-by-step how we achieve these trust flow results. There's some specific training videos on how to manipulate trust flow, kind of with a shortcut method that Hernan did, which is very, very powerful. Also, I am currently recording a RYS Academy local case study. In other words, I'm creating from scratch, from start to finish, following the training, a case study for local SEO, for basically lead gen or for local client, that is being recorded right now and will probably be finished this weekend and available inside the members area next week. And so that's going to show you guys exactly step by step how to move from starting from scratch all the way through the process to ranking and banking on the back side of it, on the other end of it. And so there is definitely case studies in there. And Brian is saying he's not sure what he's getting for $9.95 because without a case study or procedures you are using, without that, he doesn't know what he's getting. But again, if you don't, there is case studies there, Brian. So that's what you'll be getting. So you'll get all the training plus that inside. And we're not, guys, we weren't even at the point where we were going to sell the product. Okay?
No, I wasn't even going to
questions about it. So
all of this, there is a foundation. It's IFTTT SEO Academy.
that's right.
You can go and pick up our recipes. If you don't already have them, you probably already have them, and do your own IFTTT SEO. I mean, it's free. You can go to our YouTube channel and go through all of our Hump Day Hangouts. We have 45 plus hours of free training.
Yeah.
On exactly how we do what we do. But there's more. What I'm want people to know, if they get nothing else out of this, there's something else that's being kept from you, that has been kept from you, and I don't know why. It shouldn't be. This is what it is. This is how it is, and there's a way that you can manipulate it. Now you can go and spend a year and a half, right, which, as I said, is 18 months collectively between Gary and I. You can go and spend 18 months figuring out how to do it, or, it's available right now.
Yeah. Do you have any additional slides?
No. This was it.
Okay. I see a couple other questions.
Yeah, we're saving time for questions.
Damon says trust flow 18, citation flow 14. Is that decent? Yeah, Damon.
That's really good.
That is good. Anytime you can get trust flow above citation flow, that's definitely a good sign. However, remember the topical trust flow portion of it, though. Remember,
yes,
so you want to be looking for, and somebody asked earlier if I recommend buying expired domains that had that were relevant to your niche or your industry. Yes, I mean absolutely. That's because then you're looking at topical trust flow. Okay, because you can go out and buy a domain that has good trust flow metrics, that where the trust flow is higher than the citation flow, and that's good. But if it was completely unrelated, let's say that you bought a domain that was in the health and wellness industry, yet you're buying it so that you can build links to a plumber's site. That, yeah, you can still manipulate trust flow that way because you're going to push some trust flow over, but you're not going to have that topical trust flow. You're not going to have that relevancy there. So we don't recommend that. I mean, you can do it other ways, though. For example, you can take a high trust flow domain that you've purchased that wasn't topically relevant, and then point that to a buffer site that is topically relevant with a do follow link with a contextual do follow link over to your destination or your target property, right? And that way you're actually injecting topical trust flow at that point because you're injecting the relevancy through that do follow contextual link on that from a relevant, topically relevant site, if that makes sense. So there's a lot of ways that you can manipulate trust flow once you understand what it is and how it works. And that's really what this webinar tonight was about, was to get you guys opened up to what trust flow is, how it works, and how you can manipulate it. And then obviously there's some methods that we have that you can use to really take it to another level.
I had this open and I almost forgot to show it. This is just so people can see the difference, right? Take WordPress.org, the website, and we're going to get nearly perfect trust flow with 94 citation flow. So you can see, I mean, if it's 2-to-1, you're never going to get to 180 citation. It's going to stop at 100, right? You can spam this 10 ways from Sunday. Now this is the root domain we're talking about. That's not to say that if you have an inner page, and let's just look at the topics, right, for topical trust flow. The main one is, of course, computers and internet. It's WordPress.org. But there's also regional. So if you're in Europe, you would want to try to be in here. Arts and music, reference and education. And the lowest one is computers and software, interestingly enough, right? Operating systems. If you go to an inner page, you're going to see that this one has 18 trust flow, 17 citation flow, and again, computers, internet, and on the web. So this tells you what type of website you should be relating. If you can get a link in here, these in red tell you should be looking, the website that you link in here should be in this that's red, that's showing you what's most important rather than looking to get in business, although getting a do follow link with 11 trust flow for business since it stacks wouldn't be all that bad actually, right? And so these are the metrics that you have to look at. Society and people and reference, it's still 10 trust flow, so it's not bad. You can still get a link in here if you can. It's WordPress.org. You'd have to figure out how, but it's just one of the things that we're always exploring. We're always trying to figure out how we can get into these properties and manipulate them. Because look at this.
Ever wish you could go back to the one?
So do we have any more questions?
Yeah, there's a couple. Let's see. Scott says, so RYS is not a set of shiny software tools. No, Scott, it's not. We have a couple scripts in there that was custom built by Marco and Gary. Together they collaborated on it that automates some trust flow manipulation stuff using Google Sites and Google Drive. That's pretty insane. And that and FeedBurner, all these things that we can trust with Google's own, we can stack with Google's own trust flow metrics to our advantage. And but it's no software, so it's not push button solution stuff, guys. That's
no. Here's the thing. Work has to be done. Whether you if you're building a website, which you're doing right now for local, right, Bradley, for a case study for this.
Correct.
You know that work needs to be done. You have to do the content.
That's right.
And you have to do the SEO, because if you don't, it's not going to work. If you don't silo, it's not going to work. The interesting thing about doing what we're doing is that you don't have to worry about any of this. You don't have to worry about duplicate content penalties. You don't have to worry about Panda and Penguin or whatever, because you're working inside a trusted website. Number one, and number two, you don't have to worry because Google trusts itself.
Yeah.
Google,
Well, the other
Google
thing
simply trusts itself, and Google trusts Twitter.
The other
And
thing
so-
is that we got guys that you can take one piece of content and repurpose it multiple ways for inside of Google, and which is insane because that goes against everything we know as SEOs, right? Like that goes against the grain. Like we're so used to having to have unique content, and we use spinners and all this other crap, and we gotta. And in this case, with what we can show you inside of RYS Academy, it's not required. You can take one piece of content and use it multiple ways in multiple media, and still and push trust flow, and it's just it's quite impressive. Now, I do see one more question, and Marco, we're gonna go ahead and show the page for RYS Academy. I do see, however, Dan says, can you? This is an interesting question, Dan. I want to answer this one. He says, can you ever change the topic of an expired domain, or is it set once it's set? Well, remember what determines the topical trust flow of a domain is its inbound links. Okay, so it's the links coming in from other sites and what their topical relevance is that determines what it is. So you could, over time, or you could change the topical relevancy of a domain if you built other links to that domain from other topically relevant sources. In other words, if you change the topic of it, those old links would still exist unless they got removed. So you'd have to first build up new links from other content sources or whatever from a different topical relevance, if that makes sense, to your domain in order to tip the balance from one topic to another. But honestly, that's a lot more work than I think it would be needed. When you can just go out and purchase domains that already have the topical relevance in place. Okay, what I mean by that is, guys, there's a lot of domain crawlers out there that you can use that can you can find expired domains that can be purchased for just the cost of registration instead of going to like auctions and stuff like that and wasting your time and trying to buy domains with high metrics, and you're competing and bidding against other people. You don't have to do all that. You can use domain crawlers to find domains from sites that are expired. It can just be the cost of registration from Namecheap, and you can sort that way by looking at the topical trust flow relevancy of that. And again, you don't have to have a super high powerful domain, guys, to get really good results, because what you're looking for is the topical relevance. Okay, and that's kind of what we're talking about through this.
Just to add something to that, what we're doing at Semantic Mastery is we're creating it's just a one-stop shop for all things SEO.
Another one, Manny says, these web properties from Google, do you use them as tier 2 or do you rank them as money sites? Both. Manny, both.
You can use them as anything you want.
That's right. Yeah, you can rank them. You can rank the Google properties themselves, and you can also use them as tier 2. You can use them just to push trust flow. You can use them to build backlinks. There's just, it's whatever you want, man. as much as you can imagine, you can do with them. So, let me show the page real quick, Marco. I'm going to take the screen for a minute.
Go ahead.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, guys. So, if you see in the chat box that was already posted, it's rysacademy.semanticmastery.com. That's the sales page. If you're interested in purchasing it, now would be the time to do so. Okay. But with that said, we have. You want to tell them about Twitter SEO Academy?
Yeah, because most of it, or at least I would say 60% of it, is already in the advanced webinars. We've done a whole bunch of stuff with Twitter, right, where we showed in the 2 advanced webinars that we did all of the magic that's happening inside Twitter and what you can do. But Gary has stayed in the rabbit hole, and he has actually figured out how to do lead gen, how to do client prospecting, how to do reputation management, how to just a whole bunch of neat super ninja stuff that I hadn't even imagined could be possible with Twitter, because all I was trying to do with Twitter was use a platform where I could embed the properties that were do follow. Although Twitter is a T.co is a no follow. When you embed and you stack iframes like we do from or through the script that we created, you're mimicking, and we're master mimics is actually what we are. We mimic do follow properties inside no follow, which actually blasts trust flow all over the place.
Yeah. So Twitter SEO Academy, guys, is a separate product that we're creating from what Dr. Gary has found in working inside of the RYS Academy. He's developed a bunch of Twitter stuff, and so we're creating Twitter SEO Academy, which is basically inside of RYS Academy already, but we're going to break that out and make that a separate product as well, because there's nobody on the web talking about Twitter as SEO, like teaching Twitter SEO. To use Twitter for SEO and also just for trust flow manipulation. So
we also created a brand new script. Gary, you want to tell them some of the features of the script that we've been working on?
Yeah, the first script was pretty awesome, and now this upgraded script is just insane. Where we're talking how you have complete control of the description, and you can we're going into spin tags now. So imagine now that you're pushing out something, and however you can imagine spinning something, it will just spin it for you. And we're not talking just spinning text, we're talking spinning links. So that's again all automated for you. Once you pop it in, so the hardest part for you is just to activate the script and put in the text and the links, and then click go, and then that's it, and just feed the machine. That's all you need to do, and that comes with the script for you. It's pretty amazing. And then just some of the results that I've seen already, just where I did a test just with I showed Mark a really junk account, and in my FeedBurner account within day one I had 86 subscribers. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
86 subscribers to the feed. That's the kind of stuff we're talking about. And for those of you guys who are not familiar with the script, what the script does is it goes down into your folder, whatever folder it is that you're going to theme for whatever it is that you want to go after. It's going to go into that folder, it's going to go into the subfolder, it's going to go into each file type that you create, and it's going to pull all of the information out of it. It's going to then build a website for you in sites.google.com. Well, you'll have to create it, but it'll build pages. That will then create an XML file, which you just pop into FeedBurner, and now you have a feed that's updated every time you update a document. Each time you create a new document or a new file, a new folder, that gets updated and it goes out into whatever properties you want it to go out into. So it's amazing, and then, like I said, we've added spin tags, and we're adding just a whole bunch of features to it that are just going to blow your mind.
Yeah. So do we have any other questions? Because otherwise we're going to wrap it up. We hit the 1 hour mark.
In the Facebook group that we have, where all the RIS members are, we do have an example of that, the water damage industry. So that's a prime example of someone who's number one, number two for a really good search term, and they're right there. So with their telephone number all over the place.
Yeah, what was the one? Because Manny's asked now twice. What was the one that for waterproofing? It was
Yeah. Do you want the exact phrase?
Yeah. Just what's the search phrase?
It was water damage Phoenix, Arizona. So Phoenix, AZ.
Okay. Let me grab the screen. I'll go into Firefox because that's a clean browser.
But we've shown a whole bunch of other stuff on the inside. How to use Google for AdWords and make it look like your Google to add more trust to your ads, right?
Yeah. This one's ranked number one, and this wasn't even done as well as it could have been. But you guys are seeing my screen, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So it says this one right here with the phone number, #1 water damage Phoenix AZ experts, and I just did water damage Phoenix. And if we click on the actual Google Doc, you'll see it's just a Google Doc. And this one, again, this one wasn't. I mean, this one, it's done okay. But what I like to do is take a screenshot of the website and put that on right here, and then make it clickable, so that you can click, like, as soon as your mouse hovers over it, it shows that finger pointer, like right here. You see that? So I like to do that because it looks like an actual, like a landing page, especially if you're using a call to action type theme, with a contact form and big phone number and all that. So, but this one's ranking #1 for that. And if you go look at the search phrase in Google Keyword Planner, you'll see that this is not, some shitty keyword. It's a decent keyword, get some traffic, and there's cost per clicks are high. So I mean, it can be done, guys, and it can be done with multiple properties, not just a Google Doc. That's my point.
Yeah, we have an active Facebook community where people are doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Gary and I are constantly in there answering questions, giving people support, ideas, sharing everything that we find, things that are new, things that are happening. So it's not just something that they're going to get and it's dead and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're all on groundbreaking stuff here, and it's just so wonderful to see all the new discoveries that are coming out all the time. And like Marco said with TrustFlow, this is stuff that people don't discuss openly, but we're actually able to show things now and talk about these things a lot more.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think that you nail it with the groundbreaking. I think this is really groundbreaking. I think that nobody else is talking about it, and I think the way that you and Marco have put it, like a step-by-step over-the-shoulder training, this is really way more advanced than many other courses are out there offering. So kudos to you guys.
All right, looks like we're about wrapped up, guys. I say we go ahead and close it down. What do you think?
Sounds good.
Cool.
Sounds good.
Well, thanks for everybody for being here. We hope that you learned something about TrustFlow and how to manipulate it, guys. Even if you don't join us in RYS Academy, that's fine. Take the knowledge that you just learned tonight, because very few people talk about it, and start using it to your advantage. Start digging into TrustFlow and how to manipulate it, guys, because that's really where that's the most important metric in SEO, in my opinion now, and in our opinion now, and we've proven that. So, okay. I'm going to answer one more question, just because it popped up at the last minute. Brian says, I noticed many sites ranking on page 1 for local terms which have bad TrustFlow citation flow ratios. So my question is, if they are ranking without great metrics, why is this necessary? Because if you put your metrics right, you'll outrank them every time. That's why, Brian.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The whole point is if you're seeing sites that are ranking with poor TrustFlow to citation flow ratios, then if you have yours right, you're going to outrank them. And isn't that the name of the game? If you know that you can look at the top 10 results, the page 1 in the SERPs, and you can say, oh, wow, I know how to destroy every one of those by just a few simple tweaks, then you can with confidence go out and outrank people left and right.
I mean, if he's seeing this niche right now, right, where you have all of these crappy websites ranking, and if he doesn't want to buy a RYS, drop the niche into the chat, please, so I can go out.
Right. Yeah, that's the main point is that's an opportunity that you're seeing, Brian, because with RYS Academy and the other teachings that we're doing, you can definitely go for it. So.
All right, everybody. Thanks for being here. We'll see everybody on the inside. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow for Hump Day Hangouts.
All right,
Yes.
man.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Okay.
Good night.